All right, hello everyone. My name is Peter. Hope you're all doing well today. And in this video, sponsored by Squarespace, pretty excited. We're going to unwrap and do our first drawing in this, a new sketchbook. Ta-ta-ta-ta. Oh, this is the same kind of sketchbook I used previously. Nebula Note. It says Premium Note Plain. You can see here. And I know I'm choosing the same kind of sketchbook again, which is a little bit weird to me because it's not the best sketchbook I've ever used in the sense that the pages are a little thin. So I just draw on one side of each sketchbook, each piece of paper. But I actually kind of got used to that. It's kind of nice not having to fill up every side, both sides of each page. Drawing on one side of each page is a little less overwhelming, and the sketchbook fills up faster, and filling up sketchbooks is a good feeling. All right, so here's the back, and it comes with some little magnetic, I think these are supposed to be like bookmarks. I don't really use those, but it's nice, I guess, if you want them. And here's a little thing for making ink swatches. Sam Squamch, 27 by 27 millimeters, 47 by 16 millimeters. Some little grid paper, lines and dots. That's pretty cool. I haven't really used those much in the past. Of course, you got a pocket in here, like Moleskine sketchbooks have those too. Ink-proof paper. It says, it is true, it says inks do not tend to bleed or feather. And it's true, the ink, in my experience, the ink doesn't bleed through, but the paper is kind of thin in that you can see it through, which is not the same thing, I guess. Oh, also, thank you to whoever. This is an interesting gift right here. Pretty package. Logan the Empress Vanilla. And the note inside says, a note from the shop. I love you. You are beautiful. I'm assuming someone bought it from the Etsy shop for me. This is not weird at all that I'm going to put this on my lips, right? Not weird that I'm putting it on my lips, but that it's some random substance that I'm not sure about. I'm not sure how to apply it. I'm looking at my... Oh, it smells good. What scent is it? I don't know. I've never put this kind of thing on before with this sort of weird This is what the makeup artists do. They put their hand behind whatever they're putting up there. My lip gloss is popping. That's very nice, actually. Oh, it's vanilla. It says it right on there. Yeah, it's very nice. Vanilla is... I think vanilla has gotten a bad rap for being, it's an adjective, vanilla. It's like, it pops back out. Look at that. Vanilla is delicious. I guess it's just so common. This will make the drawing experience delightful. Anyways, all right. See, this is the only thing I don't like. A lot of sketchbooks tend to do this binding method where the first page is like glued to this other page here. This happens in so many sketchbooks and it bothers me. And it usually throws off my first page experience so much that I skip that first page and come back. And this first page tends to be like a test page because I don't feel like drawing on this one. Do you see this issue right here? Someone also sent this big bag. And if you peek inside, It says, "Dear Peter, you're the only one who might appreciate all of these. Regards, Aaron." There's just a bunch of pens. Grab bag time. Oh, I'm just kidding. It's fine. G402, 5mm. Oh, my lips are so shiny. Let me test it out on the first page. It's a nice metal pen, very hefty. Ooh, that is nice. Maybe I should just go with the first one I chose here. Just go with it, you know? Instead of fighting the flow of destiny, just go. Okay, I'm not gonna fight it, go with it. Turn the page and we're gonna start drawing here. But first, our square doodle. I've started this little Squarespace notebook. Let's go on to the next page. All right, so as you might know, Squarespace is this really cool one-stop shop for both buying, registering, and hosting a domain, like maybe yourname.com, whatever you want to call it, but also it's a cool place for, they help you design your website. They have all these great templates to get you started, but those are just like a launching point. It just gets cooler and cooler from there as you can integrate all these other systems and customize it, like members-only areas, super simple e-commerce things. Like at first I thought that having the ability for people to buy and check out on my website was going to be kind of sketchy. Like, will people feel safe putting in their like credit card numbers and stuff online on my website? But it's all very above board, professional, secure, and I love it. So go to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/PeterDraws for 10% off your first website or domain. Now, some people have noticed that I haven't posted a video recently. I mean, it comes and goes in bursts and jumps and bubbly billows, right? Sometimes this is natural in the art making process, okay? To do a lot and then do a little, comes and goes, but the trickling stream never stops completely, okay? Sometimes you'll draw a lot and then you might not draw for a while, or replace drawing with whatever your other preferred thing is. But just because you haven't drawn in the past day, week, month, year, or century, don't get down on yourself and get discouraged and tell yourself that you're not an artist anymore, or that you have artist block, or that the world is coming to an end, okay? Because you're just taking a breath, taking a break, and then it'll just continue the next time you pick up your pen and start drawing again. And you'll do that whenever the time is right, whenever you need to. It'll just happen again, okay? And if you try to make yourself do it, if you force yourself to draw when you don't feel like it, it's going to feel like a chore, and those drawings are going to come out looking like you felt like it was a chore. But that's not entirely what's going on here with me. It's kind of coming to the end of a semester here at school, so I've been busy doing that. I actually drew this drawing like a week or two ago, and then I just haven't had time to finish making the video because I've been doing like a lot of like drafting and like designing this weird little house thing that I have a hard time like I'll show some of my projects and stuff in a little bit in a future video, hopefully. But it's weird because in school they don't just say design a house, right? They give you a bunch of weird little restrictions, because otherwise everyone would feel kind of aimless and listless designing. They wouldn't know what to do, right? But then once I have designed the house, it's a little bit hard to explain all of those restrictions that guided me along the way and led me to where I am now with that house. Because maybe in real life, when you end up designing a house, it's more apparent because the house would reside in the real world. And it would be like, oh yeah, it's that shape because there was, those other two houses on the other side, and it's in that neighborhood, and this specific person asked for it, or I don't know. Anyways, just struggling with that a little bit. Also, I've been taking like I don't know, it's kind of a mix of a history and an art class. It's like global non-Western perspectives survey art. It has a long kind of gelatinous name I can never get right, but it's been pretty interesting. I've been kind of really enjoying learning about just history in general lately. I don't know, history has been really cool. There's a lot of it out there, and a lot of it's really interesting. If you want, I'll tell you some of the stories I've learned. And I will say story does kind of have a negative connotation. Usually when someone says, well, that person's telling stories, there's a suggestion in that word that it's not true, but stories can be true. I will tell you a true story now, as far as I know, and as far as I remember it. I'm not looking at my notes here. I will tell you now a story from Mesoamerica, okay, as I remember from like 2 months ago. This is some stuff that stuck in my head. Once upon a time, around 600 years ago, there were some roving bands of warring people in Mesoamerica. And I guess Mesoamerica are the countries in Central America known as, what are these, like Mexico? Well, they weren't then, but now this would be Mexico, Honduras, Belize, El Salvador, Guatemala, maybe one or two others. I'm not sure. Anyway, so back then there were no big, countries like that. It was just a bunch of different people, groups of people wandering around, fighting, chilling, doing their thing, growing food, eating, multiplying. And so, but there were these one people called the Aztecs, also called the Mexica or Mexica, which you can see where Mexico got its name now. But they were wandering around, and they had a number of gods. One of their favorite gods, probably their most favorite god, was called Huitzilopochtli. Huitzilopochtli, this name meant something like the great hummingbird of the south. And this was their war god. And they would go around and take what they wanted from other people. They were good fighters. But they had a famous prophecy supposedly told to them by Huitzilopochtli that once upon a time, sometime in the future, they would stop roving around, stop being a wandering people, when they eventually would find a eagle on top of a prickly pear bush. I think maybe there was a rock involved. Maybe the bush was on top of a rock. This cactus, an eagle on a rock on a cactus, fighting with a snake or something like that, right? And so they were always on the lookout for this. And one day they found it. And this was in the middle of what is now Mexico, near or next to, or maybe in the middle of what used to be Lake Texcoco. And this is at the location of what is now Mexico City. But back then, the prophecy stated that when they saw this sign, that is where they would settle down and form a city. And so they did. They stopped being roving bands of wandering people, and they made their city, and they built lots of crazy stuff there in the middle of Lake Texcoco, and that was the city of Tenochtitlan, and it was actually a very impressive city. Now, they had a lot of other stories with gods related to Huitzilopochtli. For example, he had a mother named, I think her name was Coatlicue. Coatlicue means snakes her skirt. And there's a big statue of her that I saw. I didn't see this in person, but it's a very, very big statue made of basalt. And of course her skirt was made of snakes, and her head was cut off, but her head was replaced by two huge snake heads coming out of it, merging together in the middle, so it kind of looked like she had a face made out of two huge snake heads. And it was a very terrifying statue in its ginormity and ferociousness, and this thing probably weighed several tons, and even on the bottom of it, where it was found engravings to the god of the underworld. I don't remember what it's called now. Some other word. I had it in my head a second ago. But anyways, at one point some people found this statue, and it was considered so terrifying, they just buried it again. They're like, we want no part of whatever whatever this is. Just put it back where you found it. Let's not deal with that. Anyways, the story goes that Coatlicue was atop of Snake Mountain, a place called Snake Mountain, which of course had some other more complicated, long and tongue-tied name, and she was sweeping there. And then a feather, or perhaps a ball of feathers, fell down from the air and impregnated her. It fell into her skirt somehow and impregnated her with Huitzilopochtli, the god that they all worship, their war god. And so apparently Coatlicue had a daughter and 500 other sons, and they were all very upset about this, that she got pregnant in this way. And they came running to punish her for it, apparently to kill her for this transgression. They came running, and this daughter, her name was Coilschlauqui or something like that. Let me type this in. I know how to spell it. Coilschlauqui. Yeah, Coilschlauqui, that was it. Anyways, yeah, Coilschlauqui and her 500 brothers came running to punish her mother for getting pregnant from a feather falling from the sky. But at the last moment, some stories tell it this way, but at the last moment, Huitzilopochtli leapt out of his mother, fully grown, fully decked out in war gear, prepared to fight, and cut off Coilschlauqui's head. He cut off his sister's head. Some stories have it either right before or right after his mother was killed. I don't know. Either he was right just in time or just too late. I don't know. Anyways, he cut off his sister's head and threw his sister's body down Snake Mountain, where her body broke into pieces. And that's how the story goes. And so there are, of course, various Aztec rituals back in the day that you have to do to please Huitzilopochtli, where they would reenact this thing and people's heads would get cut off and their bodies would get cast down off of this giant temple, which was in Tenochtitlan, now Mexico City, and they found remains of this temple, and they found this giant stone, like 12 feet across, one of the few things that remained from when like Hernan Cortez came and destroyed all of these paganistic things that offended his Christian sensibilities. One of the few things that remained, because it was on the ground and probably buried at that point or something. A giant 12-foot stone with the image of Coilschlauqui broken into pieces, and they would cast people down this giant pyramid after their heads were cut off, and they would land on it and just kind of splat on it, I guess. That was, maybe they had target practice or something. Anyways, good times for the Aztec people. And I don't know what else I was going to say, but oh yeah, over in New Guinea, I have to mention this because it's really interesting. There's the people, the Abalim people. New Guinea, they have a culture that centers around yams. I just can't stop thinking about this. They have regular yams that they eat, but there are other yams which are more have to do with their religion and how their culture works. And these yams, they trade with each other, but the ones that aren't for eating can get so big and so long, they can get up to 10 feet long. That's right, yams that are 10 feet long. And then apparently it's like a yam cult. The people who are tending to the yams and growing the yams are chaste. I think even virgins are preferred to tend to the yams. It's like the yams are sensitive to any kind of emotion, so you can't be happy or sad or anything. It's like you need yam monks to tend to them. And then apparently sometimes the different groups of people will meet up and trade yams, and whoever has the biggest yam kind of is the best, but apparently sometimes they will gift a yam, like an extra big yam, to a neighboring group. And it's kind of like a backhanded insult, because then that neighboring group is inferior and viewed as inferior until they can grow one bigger or something like that. That's kind of like their agricultural way of insulting each other. I don't know. It's cool. And then they of course, they make these big, elaborate, beautiful masks to put on these giant yams that are bigger than they are. You can look it up. ABELAM. Look it up. Abalum giant yams. There's pictures out there. They're crazy. And I've been crazy in the best way possible, of course. I'm absolutely stunned and inspired to try harder in everything I do. So, all right, thanks for listening, everyone. This drawing, I had a little insert that I used double-sided tape to add a piece of paper to the back of the one piece of paper. And so maybe I'll do that for a few of the other pages in this sketchbook. I don't know. All right, thanks for watching. Love you. Bye.